Silence. We are playing dungeons. Yeah, and also after this, I will be showing you a dungeon shout, or my dungeon shout. Well, you can see one of the skins. It's
in actuality, it just makes up for low damage with a very high fire rate. And with the accuracy of the Viper, I don't think that this is any kind of top tier weapon, but it will do a lot of damage very effectively. It's something you can totally perk up and use in all of your missions going well into late twine. It's just that it'll have a little bit less damage per bullet with a higher fire rate to make up for it. You'll be reloading a bit more often because of that, and it'll have a not super great accuracy. So for close range combat and short bursts of high damage, the Viper is a very, very solid pick in our number 8 slot. For our number 7 pick, it's already getting very competitive because this is one of the strongest weapons in the game. The Monsoon has a monstrous 150,000 DPS in my inventory, which, to compare, the Siegebreaker only has 119,000. If you haven't noticed already, I've used the Siegebreaker as kind of a baseline for a lot of the weapons I covered here, seeing as the base game weapons didn't have a lot of variability in the perks that you could pick for these weapons, so it's basically why I'm running these weapons. Because if you have the exact same perks for both weapons, can actually look at in-game DPS, because when they're spec the same way, neither one of those weapons is really going to pull ahead in the end game. If the perks are the exact same, then there's really no chance for one of those to win out. Every time I actually trust the in-game DPS, I don't know how to punch the numbers myself, if the technical perks on it. However, with the Monsoon, you can see that it's actually a lot higher than the Siegebreaker. So what gives? Well, the Monsoon is basically like a pocket minigun. Once you get going, this thing will absolutely shred. With a mag size perk on this, I'm getting over 105 bullets in the magazine. In my video, I explain more on how I get that to be even higher. I'll link that description below, of course. And this thing is like a monster. That has a low damage per bullet and a very, very high fire rate. In fact, it actually has the highest base fire rate in the game. At 18 shots per second, this thing is insane. You give it another fire rate perk, and you can get much faster fire weapons in the game. Not quite as there are weapons like the Bonfire, which is a base 15 fire rate, and it has 2 fire rate perks on it, which can make it go quite a bit faster. But the Monsoon is extremely powerful once it gets going. Of course, that spin up is honestly why it's in the number 7 slot, because it's not something that you can just pull out and start shooting. It does require you to wait a little bit of time because of that spin up, but it's an amazing weapon once it gets going, and that is why it is secured in our number 7 slot. In our number 6 slot, we have our very first tie. So my Runesweeper and Tiger Jaw are spec'd differently. Fire rate and damage has identical damage output in the end to per damage, so I prefer to go fire rate on that. Specifically showing the numbers here. Of course, they're basically below, but believe it or not, the Runesweeper and the Tiger Jaw are much better. The Runesweeper is a higher fire rate, much more fun weapon to use in my opinion, but it has less accuracy, and Runesweeper, I believe, technically has the highest damage per second of any shotgun in the game once you take its overall damage output divided by its time spent reloading, which makes it a very, very powerful weapon. However, you are only doing that much damage at about 5 to 10 feet in front of you, which makes this a super close range, high damage output weapon. On the flip side, the Tiger Jaw does a little bit less fire rate, effective range, and it's a lot more comfortable and consistent to use. That's actually why I have one Runesweeper with energy and fire rate, and then I've of course gone for 3 Tiger Jaws, one for every single element. The Tiger Jaw is a phenomenal weapon, but so is the Runesweeper, and in the end, they are basically the same weapon. The way I lay it out is one does more damage, shoots slower, the other one shoots faster, does less damage. You can use whichever one you prefer, but I think that they are a good tie for our number 6 slot. Now for our number 5 slot, I think we're going to have a bit of a surprise. So in the top 10 weapons video, spoiler alert, my number 1 slot was given to rocket launchers because they are absolute powerhouses. If you put the cost aside, they are hands down the best weapons in the game, and you're not going to change my mind. But in the base game section of the game, you quite literally only have the Bazooka and the Thumper, and these weapons are very powerful. The Bazooka is a powerhouse, as you can imagine. The Thumper is fantastic for crowd clearing, and not really great against single target damage. I cover more of that in a specific video description below. But both of these weapons are, in my opinion, best to be support weapons. So whatever weapon you're going to be using as your primary, use like a bearing for movement if you have that weapon, or maybe coconuts for crossbows bearing, or anything in the middle slot, whatever you want to do, and then a rocket launcher on your 3rd slot, or wherever you want to put it in your hotbar as a secondary weapon to be eliminating crowds of enemies. So you'll have a main primary weapon to do your regular damage output, and then if you have a crowd of zombies or bigger targets, you can use a bazooka as a secondary. I don't actually think it's better than your main weapon. That's kind of why they're down here. And it's maybe not going to be your primary. the Siege Breaker in our number 4 slot. The Siege Breaker is something I am so happy to talk about because, believe it or not, it is so much better than people think it is. It used to be a joke, kind of a meme in the late 20s for us to say, like, oh yeah, best weapon in the game, Siege Breaker, go use that, LOL. It's actually pretty good. In fact, it was pretty good before they gave it a 12.5% damage increase with that 12.0 update. So it's nowadays a very capable weapon. You can bring this to the 144 players, and it might not be your best option. I'm not going to DLC this, but it is a very good weapon that can work this as well. And oh, look at that. I've been comparing it to this Terminator this entire time, and that's because it's a little tough to show you a blue first, but on the spreadsheet I can show you that the Terminator actually has almost the exact same damage output, just a little bit lower. And these weapons, as you can see back on my screen here, do have the exact same crit chance once these are perked out all the way. They'll have the exact same fire rate and much higher damage class for the Terminator. So if you want basically the LMG version of the Siege Breaker, the Terminator is a fantastic counterpart. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the Terminator is very comparable to the Hacksaw, which was tied for the number 2 slot in my overall top 10 weapons video. So the Terminator is a very, very good choice if you haven't used it already, and so is the Siege Breaker. These are 2 weapons you should give another look. Our number 3 pick won't surprise anybody who's been watching my streams lately. The Stabsworth III is coming in at our number 3 slot. This is the first and only melee on our list, and for a reason. Most of the melees in the base game weapons are trash. They're garbage. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Most of them are pretty useless, and I've never seen them get any use, but the Stabsworth is unique, because much like the Monsoon, it actually has the fastest attack speed of any sword in the game. Like I was saying with the Monsoon, though, there are weapons like the Spectre Blade. When you go blade for triple attack speed, it can have a faster attack speed. Without any attack speed perks, the Stabsworth actually has a base 0.4 attack speed.
Come here,
If that has no context, I can't blame you. If you go and compare it to the Storm King's Ravager with an attack speed perk, that brings it all the way down to 0.4. So what I'm saying here is your attack speed is almost identical to a weapon with an attack speed perk before you've even started giving it perks. I can also show my Spectral Blade has an attack speed perk, and is only slightly faster than the Stabsworth. So you can imagine with 2 attack speed perks that this thing can get going very, very fast. Now, the caveat to this is most of how I use the Stabsworth is double attack speed with Katie Luna in the lead. Of course, Katie Luna isn't early game friendly, because if you don't have her from the Dino Heroes event, then you are not going to get the most use out of this weapon in that build. But if you just go damage, crit damage, you don't even need the attack speed perks on this thing. It'll be a perfectly good weapon that will do tons of damage. Obviously, I think double attack speed or single attack speed damage, whatever you want to do, I have a whole video in that description below where I get all of the nonsense of this. It can be a lot more effective, but if you don't have video with then crit damage is a perfectly good way to go, and this thing will be a fantastic sword. A lot of you might not agree with this being in the number 3 slot, but I think it's worth a little bit of recognition. With thanks again to Jolie, I present to you the Stampede, which if you look at the stats on screen is identical to the Huskbuster. You can see that these weapons are effectively identical. The only difference being the Huskbuster is a cheaper version that actually has better ammo efficiency, so it'll be a lot more cost effective to use the Huskbuster. However, that is a part of the scavenger section of the expansion section. So, if you don't have the Huskbuster and you don't want to recruit it, if you do have the Stampede, it'll be a literally identical option if you want to go ahead and use it. And this is a major change from that 12.0 update, because the shotguns weren't that high on my list initially, but now that they have gotten debuffed, they have gotten shotguns are extremely powerful, and this would be the number 1 weapon in the entire game if I didn't have something else to show you. Shotguns are extremely powerful. I use them very regularly, even in the highest zones, and I'm not even kidding you with the Stampede. This is not just a compromise because this is the base game version. It literally is tied with the best shotguns in the game. So if you have the Stampede or the Huskbuster and you haven't used them, they are very, very good. I know a lot of people have it in ground powder in their head, and a lot of people have it
man,
it's the best.
you got Mike. Man, you need to call over to me, bruv. I know the way. Oh wait, no, never mind. I went to the wrong door.
Dig out, come here.
What? Mate, you're dead.
Is it true you're getting a divorce as soon as your husband your hair and lamb brought? Is it true you used to dance in a flea circus? This is outrageous.
Merry Christmas and welcome to the 50th edition of the Interesting Bobby. Today I'm going to help people that struggle with their everyday
Alright guys, I'm making probably one of the bigger Fortnite Save the World guide videos I've ever made. And it was inspired by a conversation that I had with, I think, a fan of my channel in our Discord the other day. It was a rare opportunity where I was just kind of hanging out in a public. And talking to him, I know already.
What?
Was also very good in the game. It became pretty obvious they were both very simple aspects of the game. And one of the things that inspired me to think about was to get certain items. And while I'm streaming, almost every single time, somebody asks me something about how to get a certain item. Or more often, they're blatantly asking me to give them something, which is a unfortunate common question. But what I end up doing is basically showing occurs to me that place on the internet where you can find an entire video showcasing how we get every single. I'm going to say it because I know it's going to come up. I'm going to be skipping over 6-star materials.
Oh yeah, by the way, they...
That was introduced in the game long ago, and as I understand it, there were glitches in the early days where people...
By the way, do you remember they brought back dungeons and also when they met llamas in Sid World? They've brought back dungeons and Fortnite Mare Llamas. If you wanted to play dungeons with me, because I could probably get you the win and stuff in it. Chicken wing, hot dog and bologna. Chicken wing, hot dog and bologna.
Which pretty much solved the problem for a lot of people. Instead of capping out at sending the point for people are getting rainbow crystal, moon glow, spectral light, you know. I don't have it all. I do have Nindertech Plus to show you guys here, but I don't have any of the spectral, whatever it's called, the spectral flying. I do also have honey. That's another story. And also Untamable, so we won't be talking about it. And then there's, it's escaping me, there's a 6-star powder as well that was passed around. You guys can tell me in the comments below. I will be skipping over 6-star material simply because it's only obtainable through player communication, i.e. trading.
I get a dip.
But you can't obtain this in the game through normal gameplay, so I'm just getting it out of the way. Going forward with this video.